Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Francine from the Chiropractic Center, where we really care about you and your success. And today we are welcoming back Dr. Irina Chan. Last month, we did our video, if you missed it, on boosting your energy, tapping into your mitochondria. And this month, we're going to be talking about immune health. And we're going to be going far beyond just vitamin C and vitamin D. We're going to be talking about other things that you can add into your routine on a daily basis in order to really amp up your immune system. So, for those of you that have not met Dr. Chan, Dr. Chan has been a wonderful addition to our team. We're so happy to have her. She brings a wealth of knowledge and information. She has special interests in integrative cancer care, in chronic fatigue, chronic pain management. She also does acupuncture. So she's really been helping a lot of our patients, and they're so wonderfully satisfied with all of the assistance that she's been giving us. So welcome back, Dr. Chan.
Thank you so much, Dr. Francine, for the introduction, for having me today. We have a really interesting topic today, and one that might be on the top of everyone's mind as we enter cold and flu season. We really want to take a look into what we can do on a daily basis to strengthen our immunity, to keep ourselves and our families healthy during this fall and winter season.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's so important during this time of year. And, we're getting more exposed to germs, whether it's from our kids going back to school or more family gatherings, more holiday gatherings. So it's inevitable that we're going to expose ourselves to more of these germs and viruses. But we can do a lot with ourselves and our health to make sure we're being healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I always used to tell my kids when they were little, if they were fighting something, your immune system is practicing. So, we are going to encounter these things, but it's making sure that you're ready for the battle and that you're going to be able to overcome those things easily. So I think one of the first things that we're going to touch on is nutrition. And nutrition's always, it's important. And I think everybody knows that they need to eat healthier. So what are some key things that you think that people should be adding into their diet this time of year or doing on a regular basis in order to maximize their well-being?
Yeah, so nutrition, yes, it's one of the foundations of health. We always want to talk about nutrition first. And so when it comes to boosting our immune system, we really want to focus on the foods that have vitamin C and zinc in it, because vitamin C and zinc specifically helps to increase our white blood cell formation and helps to keep our immune cells healthy and active and functioning well. And so vitamin C, we know that it can be found in citrus foods, but we can also find them in things like broccoli or bell peppers. Zinc is less commonly known where it can be found. So usually we can find zinc in red meats as well as seafood, pumpkin seeds, and lentils as well.
Ah, so that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think a lot of people have heard of, that vitamin C is important when we're dealing with immune system. But what exactly does it do? Like, why is zinc important for us during cold and flu season? How does it work? What does it do to help our bodies fight infections?
So, yeah, that's a great question. So with zinc, it does naturally boost our white blood cell counts, which are your body's natural immune fighting cells. So these are the cells that are actually, fighting against any pathogens, any viruses or bacteria that may come to challenge your bodies. They're like your natural army to defend against anything that might come in its way. So not only does it boost these white blood cell counts, whether it's T cells or natural killer cells, it actually helps to inhibit virus replication. So when you do have a viral exposure, it actually stops the replication process so it doesn't overtake your body.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? Now, with zinc, what would be kind of like a daily amount or a weekly amount that you should take? Because I think there can be some concerns with copper being
Mhm.
depleted over time if you're taking too much zinc. So it's kind of like a little bit of a balance with that. So what do you recommend for your patients?
So I always recommend dietary zinc first. I don't like to rely on supplements too much. I think we could do so much to naturally boost our immune system. So if we feel like we're not getting enough zinc through our diet, or it's that time of year where you're getting more prone to getting sick and you're maybe being more exposed to sick, or you feel like you're getting sick, that's when I would add in the zinc as a supplement. And usually a very standard dose is 25 milligrams. Sometimes people do 50 milligrams if they feel like their cold or flu is quite severe, or if they feel like their immune system is quite weak at that time. But I don't
Mhm.
like to do it all year round or all season round. I like to use it as needed. So for a period of 1 to 2 weeks, that's perfect. That's fine. It doesn't deplete your copper levels. But if you use it for long term, so more than a month at a very high dose, so let's say 50 milligrams, that can end up eventually depleting your copper levels because zinc and copper actually use the same pathway to absorb and to metabolize. So when we're supplementing zinc, it actually takes away from our body's ability to metabolize copper, which is also very good for your immune health and your
Yeah.
bone health and all other pathways in your body. So we just want to make sure we're keeping a good balance between zinc and copper by not supplementing zinc for a long period of time or for a high dose.
So that, I mean, that's really good advice because I know that that's definitely a concern when we're taking zinc on a regular basis. I guess the other thing that we should talk about too, and there's been a lot of buzz out there in these days about sulforaphanes.
Mm.
So, what exactly is a sulforaphane, and where can you find it, and how does it work? I mean, there's so many questions.
Yeah. Yeah, sulforaphane is a natural compound that we usually find in cruciferous vegetables. So what I mean by cruciferous vegetables, it's your broccoli, it's your Brussels sprouts, your kale, your cauliflower. It's a class of vegetables called cruciferous vegetables that have high sulforaphane content. And sulforaphane, you can actually find one of the most abundant foods that have sulforaphane, the most amount of sulforaphane is actually broccoli sprouts.
Mhm.
It actually has around 100 times more sulforaphane content compared to broccoli itself, but it's kind of hard to find in grocery stores. So some people actually sprout their own broccoli, and it's
I did
quite.
that all last, yeah, we did that here all last winter. You can get these, you get the mason jars with these cool little
Mhm,
lids.
mhm,
I think we just got them online and
mhm.
it was so easy, just 2 tablespoons. And we had a rotating, I guess we started something every 3 or 4 days. And yeah, it took about 3 or 4 days to sprout.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
not hard.
it's so easy. And the mason jar, you just put it in your cupboard because it prefers like a darker place or just on your counter in a darker place. And yeah, so I mean, we just ordered a bag of broccoli sprouts, the
It
seeds, and
lasts for a long time, right?
oh yeah, we still have some for this year.
Yeah. So
So that, I mean,
yeah,
that wasn't hard at all. So I would encourage people, I'm definitely easy peasy to do that.
yeah, easier than going out to buy broccoli or
Yes.
trying to find, yeah, I feel like maybe sometimes I see broccoli sprouts available at Whole Foods or like those specialty health food stores, but it's quite hard to find. So
Yeah.
it's great that you're making it at home. How it works is that sulforaphane actually activates a protein called NRF2. So this protein goes on to stimulate a lot of protective pathways within our bodies. Some of these pathways help to reduce overall inflammation in the body, and we know inflammation can dampen our immune system. Some of these pathways reduce the amount of oxidative stress in our bodies by increasing antioxidants in our bodies. And then some of these pathways also just directly help to strengthen our immune system to make sure it's well equipped with everything that it needs to defend against any pathogens, any viruses. So
Mhm.
sulforaphane has a wide host of benefits. In terms of protecting our body from stressors, from inflammation, from oxidative stress, and to boost our immune system naturally.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good thing to add into. And I think that you can even get supplements too with sulforaphane. Can you not? Is that?
Yeah, it is quite popular to find supplements with sulforaphane or broccoli. And coming from directly broccoli sprouts, because again, it's very easy to produce and it has the highest amount of sulforaphane content.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, th those are definitely some other options for people, I think, to look at that as well. And I think last time you had mentioned the fact that on our last video, protein is a big challenge for a lot of people. They struggle with protein
Mhm.
intake. How does protein impact? Protein was obviously a direct impact on energy. protein impacting immune system? Is that something as well?
Yes, so our immune cells actually require protein as the building blocks to form the white blood cells. So when we have protein, it gets broken down to amino acids, and these amino acids are necessary to produce our white blood cells. And so
Yeah.
that's why it's so important. That's why we need to make sure we're getting an adequate amount of protein in our diets to be able to support our immune system as well.
I know. I'm still shocked at that. I think you had said last time, like you needed 4 eggs to make 25 grams of protein, right? That's a
Yeah.
lot. You don't
Yeah, so
realize how much you actually need, right?
no, like I feel like a lot of people don't get enough protein in our diets, especially breakfast. Breakfast is especially hard, but breakfast is the most important meal to make sure we're getting enough protein in first thing in the morning, right? To get our day going, to make sure we can sustain our energy levels throughout the whole day. So that's the most
And
important
how
part,
do you,
also the hardest.
what's the, how do I know I'm getting enough protein? So is there like
Mhm.
a formula or something like that that's pretty simple for people to follow?
There is a formula. It's based on your weight and your activity level.
Hmm.
So basically you convert your weight into kilograms. And so whatever that kilograms is, you want to multiply it by 1 or 1.3 to get the grams of protein that you need on a daily basis. If you're working out more, if you're exercising more, you want to multiply that by a higher amount, maybe 1.4 or 1.5. So it is a bit of a calculation. I say in general, you want to aim for 20 to 25 grams of protein per meal. And so that can look like maybe a cup of Greek yogurt or 3/4 cups of cooked chicken breast.
Hmm.
If you're vegetarian, it can look like 3/4 of a cup of tofu, for example, or a scoop of protein powder.
So yeah, definitely protein is really important. I
Mhm.
mean, and I think another thing that research has really shown, in the last couple of decades anyhow, is how important our gut, the
Mhm.
gut health is, the gut biome, and making sure that our gut has the right number of bacteria or healthy bacteria that are there. So, how does that impact our immune system? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that for us?
For sure. I love talking about gut health. It's one of my focus areas. So I know with a lot of people who have digestive concerns, whether it is bloating or malabsorption issues or issues with a lot of inflammation in the gut, they also have a compromised immune system
Mm,
because most of our immune cells, even like 70 to 80% of our immune cells actually reside in the gut. So that's why it's so important when it comes to immune health to take care of your gut health as well.
mm,
There's a lot of associations between people who have celiac or people who have Crohn's and colitis and developing or having a harder time when it comes to the immune system, um, getting more sick often. And sometimes it impacts their skin as well because there's also a gut
mm.
skin connection. So there's a gut brain connection, gut skin connection, and a gut immune connection as well. It's very strongly linked. So a lot of times when you talk to a naturopath, they always look at your gut health. We think the gut is so important when it comes to health and especially with your immune system.
Oh,
Um,
gut is extremely important, even when we're dealing with the nervous system. When we talk about chiropractic, I
yeah,
talk often
exactly.
about the gut. It's so, so important.
Mhm.
Um, so what can people do to improve their gut health? Like
Mhm.
what is something that you could do on a daily basis, on a regular basis to make sure you've got a good, healthy gut?
So we can try to incorporate more probiotics into our diet and fiber into a diet. The reason
Mm,
why probiotics are important is because, like I said, in our gut, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria.
mm,
The good bacteria is like, again, your army that defends against any pathogens, whether it's viruses or bacteria, it keeps the bad bacteria at bay. When the bacteria overgrows or when, the viruses has a chance to attack our immune system, if there's not enough of these good bacteria and our immune system is down, that's when your
mm,
body gets sick. So in order for us to enhance the amount of good bacteria in our gut, probiotics can improve that. It can increase the amount of live good probiotics in our gut or good bacteria in our gut. So you could find that in things like sauerkraut, kimchi, anything fermented, whether it's yogurt or miso, for example. There's a lot of
Definitely.
things you can do to improve the amount of live probiotics within our gut. But
Yeah,
you also
even
want to feed that. Yeah,
with
so
the
you want to
fiber.
exactly, you want to
Ah,
feed the probiotics as well, the good bacteria to make sure they're strong, to make sure that they keep up with what they should be doing. And so that's when the fiber comes into place. And it's also known as prebiotics.
Mm.
When you look for supplements, you can find prebiotics and probiotics. Prebiotics is essentially a fiber, and you can incorporate more of these fibers like garlic and onions and beans and oats into your diet to feed the good bacteria within your
Does
gut.
something like sweet potato count too? Are
Yeah,
there,
sweet
yeah.
potato counts. So there is, if you want a soluble fiber versus insoluble fiber. Insoluble
Mm.
fiber, it just bulks up your stool. It's a
Mhm.
soluble fiber that can be broken down by your good bacteria and used for energy and used to support the gut health.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like kefir or kefir. I guess it depends on how you say it. And I guess it's something like kombucha. Would that be good too if you're having some of those fermented drinks as well?
Yeah, kombucha can be a great option. It's known as a lot of people do like kombucha. I would say the only thing to be mindful of when it comes
Sugar.
to kombucha is the sugar content, yes.
Mm.
So I like to look for ones that have less than maybe 5 grams of sugar,
They're
or in
harder to
general.
find, and I think people think because it's kombucha, it's healthy, but
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that making sure that you've got a lower sugar content on those is important
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah, because some people have a sugar sensitivity too and can actually upset their stomach. So kombucha can
It's such
be
a
good or bad.
delicate thing. It's such a delicate thing when you're dealing with the gut too, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah. So when we deal with immunity, another big thing that you often hear is stress and how stress can play into that as well.
Hmm.
Um, so, you hear a lot, often people say, oh, I was super stressed and then I got sick. So how does that happen? Like, why does that happen?
Hmm. Yeah, that happens to me sometimes when I experience, high amounts of stress for a long period of time and I don't take care of my body properly. I get
Mm.
sick when my body gets a chance to rest. And, that's usually not a time that you want to get sick because you want to enjoy yourself. You want to go
Yeah.
on vacation, for example. I don't know if that's happened to you before as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when I was in school. It's a high stress time in your life,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
So it happens because your body, when it's undergoing a lot of stress, you produce a lot of the hormones called cortisol and adrenaline. And these hormones actually over time dampen your immune system. It actually reduces the amount of white blood cells from forming. Also, when you're stressed, you're also probably not getting enough sleep. And sleep is like the most optimal time for your body to repair itself, for your immune system to repair itself and make sure it's healthy. Stress also depletes a lot of the nutrients that are required to supporting immune health. So vitamin C is often depleted. Magnesium, your B vitamins can also be
Mhm.
depleted. So this cocktail that happens when we experience stress for a long time is what makes us more vulnerable to getting sick during that time.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess sleep, like you said, is super, super important, making sure you're sleeping, also looking into
Mhm.
things. Everybody talks about meditation, but I think even just taking a minute during the day to calm yourself, take some deep breaths, that those minutes can add up and that can help you better deal with things.
Mhm.
There's so many apps now out there. You can look at active meditation if you find it really hard. I think, a lot of people find it hard to be still and not have any thoughts in their head. We're so used to notifications and dinging, and we're thinking of all these things.
Mhm.
But sometimes active meditation can be kind of, I find, a happy medium where you're not um, expected to have no thoughts in your head, which is really hard for a lot of people. And
Mhm.
puts a lot of pressure on people. I think they give up on meditation because of that. But if you can get into a routine of having at least an active meditation practice, and there's a lot of apps that are free that you could download and at least do a couple. I think that helps, don't you find?
Yeah, I've been exploring active meditation a little bit more these days too. And so I like using the Calm app as well as Insight Timer. And I do find the active meditation more helpful than maybe the ones that are more just focused on instrumentals or sounds. But you have to find the right one that fits you.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
everyone's different. Some people really love the ocean sounds or um, um, things like that, where it's just music, but some people really like that guided meditation.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Just finding the right thing for you is
Mhm.
really,
Everyone's different. You just have to find one that resonates with you more.
yeah. So, Dr. Irina, we're talking about stress, and we should probably ask you about adaptogens because there's been a lot of interest in adaptogens in the last few years. So, what is an adaptogen? Like, how does it work? What does it do exactly?
So adaptogens are actually a class of herbs that people use to help with their resistance or resilience towards stress. So, we experience stress naturally all the time, but sometimes people respond more strongly to stress, and that can lead to feeling very tired or insomnia or anxiety or palpitations, or, those are some stress-related symptoms. Even lesser or even more vulnerability to getting exposed to colds and flus. That's a stress-related symptom as well. And so what adaptogens do is that it improves our resilience against physical stress, whether it is viruses or colds and bacteria, or mental and emotional stress.
Mm.
So it helps in a way by reducing our cortisol levels or balancing our cortisol levels. Cortisol is not all bad. It's great for helping us get through the stress, but when we have too much cortisol, that's when it can really inhibit our immune system. It helps to improve our energy levels as well, and helps to just keep our nervous system more in a calm state.
That's a good thing. Nervous system calm. That's a good thing for
Yeah.
chiropractors too. So, what are some common adaptogens that you might suggest for people um, when they're thinking about their immune system and how can they boost their immune system? And we know now that cortisol can deplete your immune system.
Mhm.
There's too much for too long. So, what are some
Mhm.
common ones that you might suggest for people?
So I really like the adaptogens that also have an immune boosting property. So
Mm.
this includes astragalus or ginseng. Some other ones include schizandra. So reishi as well. So reishi mushroom. We hear about mushrooms all the time. Reishi specifically is an adaptogen as well as has immune boosting properties. So those are my go-tos during this time in this season when we are more exposed to colds and flus, and we really want to work on our stress to improve our immune system.
That those all sound good. I guess do you ever have to have like, breaks if you're on any of these adaptogens? Are they some things that you would go on for a couple of weeks or a month and then you have to come off at any time? Or are those things that you can kind of keep taking on a regular basis?
With adaptogens, it's something you could keep taking for longer, like for periods of 3 months or so.
Mm.
I would take 1 month breaks, but I would use the adaptogens more so when you are experiencing a high level of stress, whether
Okay.
that is, this time of year or during the summer. I wouldn't use it when you are, maybe on vacation or you don't have as much stress going on. It's really more beneficial during that time when you are experiencing more stress.
That's really good advice. So we've talked about adaptogens and we've talked about zinc, we've talked about that. So maybe we can touch on some herbs and supplements, other things that we could
Mhm.
do in addition to these things now.
Yeah, I really love teas. Teas all year round for me. But I also really like tea during the cold and flu season. And there's a specific tea that I usually go to whenever I feel like a tickle in my throat or a cough coming on. And that tea usually includes ignatia, which is a herb that I really like to use. There's a lot of research for ignatia actually helping to prevent the onset of colds and flus, but also to help to reduce the severity and reduce the duration of colds and flus as well. So best to use it when you do feel like you're getting initial symptoms of colds and flus. That's when it's the most effective. So I add ignatia in there, whether it's ignatia syrup or ignatia tea. I have honey in there, about 1 tablespoon of honey. I have half a lemon, and then I add ginger in there, either dry ginger or fresh ginger or a ginger tea. And then I just let that steep for a while and make it really strong. And then once I have it, it's like very soothing on the throat, but I feel like it really does help kick the cold and flu out so that I don't get sick at all. So I really like it. That's my go-to tea. Do you have a go-to tea?
It's so funny that you mentioned teas because I have a tea. I've been making a tea for my kids since the time where they were little, and it's so funny they ask me for it now. Mommy, can you make me some tea?
Mm.
But I live in an area where I can actually get turmeric root pretty easily. So I'll chop up some turmeric root. I use ginger as well. I make it really strong too. I'll put some garlic cloves in there, a little bit of sea salt. I cut up a lemon and I'll take the seeds out and cut off the peel. And I let it steep for a long time on the stove. Sometimes I'll even add some sea salt or some apple cider vinegar and then a good dollop of some good honey. Uh,
Mhm.
and then we tend to eat that. I mean, I drink that. I've even put in some cayenne pepper from time to time, but yeah, sometimes it just depends what I have, what's available. But those are
Yeah,
kind of my.
exactly.
But maybe we can even put our recipes in the notes section for people to give
Yeah.
a try. So that might be something that people would like. And if you guys have a tea that you really find is helpful, maybe you could leave that in the comment section. Maybe we can all share our tea recipes.
Yeah, I love teas. I think it's really helpful, especially when you start feeling like a little tickle in your throat
At
or
the
a little
very
cough.
beginning. For
Hmm.
sure. Um, so we've talked about a lot of different things. I know everybody knows vitamin D is important, but I find still a lot of people don't realize how, what their levels should be at. I've had people say to me, "Oh no, I've had all my blood work done, and
Hmm.
no, it's fine." And I said, and then I'll say, "Well, vitamin D is one of those things that you actually have to pay for in our area." So they're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I've never paid for." So they've probably not had their vitamin D levels checked. So,
Hmm.
um, you know, what should we be looking for to be real to drill this down? Because, there are different dosing depending on, where you're at and how low your levels are, how high your levels are. So what do you recommend and what should we be looking for on blood work? And I guess we have to specifically ask because not everybody's practitioner will offer to do the vitamin D testing either.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have vitamin D tested, and they
Mm,
do have to ask their family doctor or a naturopathic doctor to get that test done because it's not covered by OHIP. So usually when you do it through Life Labs, it costs around $65 to have it done. But I would say a lot of people, half of the people that I do test, they end up having vitamin D deficiency. Canadians in general, maybe a third to a quarter of the people have low vitamin D levels, and vitamin D is so important when it comes to our immune function, regulating inflammation in our bodies, bone health, our mood, our cognitive function, and our energy. So it's an important one to get tested. Although it's difficult in our area right now because it's hard to get that test. You have to really ask for it. When you do get it tested, the Life Labs reference range is between 75 to 250 nanomoles per liter.
okay.
If you are under 75 nanomoles per liter, that's when you are vitamin D deficient. That's when you actually want to make sure you're getting a higher dose of vitamin D to be able to increase your vitamin D levels to a more optimal level, which for me is around 120 to 150.
That's quite a big difference. That's almost like double what the low normal range is. And
Yeah.
so I think that's good. I mean, it's good for people to know what the range should be. And I think most people at this point know they should be taking at least 1,000 to 2,000 a day, or 2,500 sometimes you can find
Mhm.
capsules. Is it, I've heard that it's better to take like a liquid dropper for vitamin D than to swallow a supplement. Would that be the case?
It's better to make sure the vitamin D is suspended in a fat, whether it is olive oil or coconut oil. So usually when it's in a liquid form, it's already suspended in a fat. Maybe it's been emulsified in the fat to make it more absorbable. There are, capsules for people who don't want to, taste the vitamin D, which usually has a very mild neutral taste, but some people do prefer capsules. And so just make sure the capsules or the soft gels have a fat inside and to eat it with a fatty meal. I would say, vitamin D can also come in tablets. So the tablets are lesser absorbed than the other forms, like we talked about.
Yeah, and I think that that's important to recognize as well. 'Cause sometimes you see people they've been taking vitamin D and their vitamin D levels are not necessarily increasing, and I think that's where they have to kind of start to be more specific in terms of
Mhm.
how they're taking it, when they're taking it, even to take it with their fattiest meal of the day. And for most
Mhm.
people, that's usually dinner. So it's just a different approach, I guess, with that.
Mhm.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add today? We've talked about so many things today.
We did. We chatted about a lot. I think if you have any questions at all, if you want something more personalized based on your health goals and your health concerns, it's worth booking a free intro call or discovery call with me so that we can talk more about what we can do to support your immune system, but also maybe look into your digestive health, look at your stress levels, look at your sleep, which are all very important when it comes to building up that immunity for the winter.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for all your gold nuggets and all your information today, Dr. Chan. We really
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
Yeah, and I hope everybody really enjoyed, the information. I hope you're enjoying these series. We're hoping to do another one next month, and talking. Well, we've talked about gut health a few times, and I think next
Mhm.
time we really gotta focus on that and make sure that I guess, do a deep dive into gut health, and find out a lot more about how gut health can improve our overall health and well-being, and talk more about the specifics. But again, thank you so very much, Dr. Chan, for everything, for all of the information that you gave us today. And remember, everybody, every little thing that you do every day, all these little changes that you make, they do add up. It takes time, and you just have to be consistent with them. But choose even 3 things that we talked about today that you feel that you're going to be able to implement and stay consistent with, and get really good at those. And then, give yourself a pat on the back and congratulate yourself, and then move on to the next one. But until next time, let your healing begin. And thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.